Every year, more than 20 million people fly into Cancun chasing the same photo. Turquoise water, powder white sand, a drink in hand before 10 in the morning. Nobody posts what happens after that photo gets taken. A recent study of nearly 100,000 traveler reviews just named Cancun the single most disappointing destination on the planet, worse than every other major beach city measured, with more than 14% of visitors walking away unhappy. Somewhere between the airport and the pool bar, entire vacations quietly fall apart. Air conditioning units that never stop rattling, seaweed thick enough to bury the shoreline, a free welcome drink that turns into a 2-hour sales pitch nobody signed up for. Tonight we are ranking 10 resorts across this city, from the ones locals and recent guests warn you to avoid completely, to the 3 that are genuinely worth every dollar. One resort near the middle of this list looks flawless in every photo online. What happens after check-in is a completely different story. Stay with us. Before the countdown starts, tell us where you are watching from, and if you have already booked a trip to Cancun this year, let us know which resort you chose. We want to see exactly how far this warning travels. Here we go. Number 10. $70 a night sounds like a steal, until you see what gets added at checkout. This entry covers a pattern rather than a single address, because the same red flags repeat across dozens of similarly priced properties in this tier. These budget properties brand themselves as the best economic all-inclusive in Cancun, and the photos do their job well. Full buffets, unlimited drinks, a beachfront view. Retirees on a fixed income, solo travelers stretching a small budget, and first-time visitors are the exact audience this pricing is built to attract. What those listings rarely mention is everything waiting on the other side of check-in. A separate delivery fee, usually $10 to $15, just to have food brought to a room that is supposedly already all-inclusive. Wi-Fi fast enough to actually stream anything sits locked behind a paid upgrade, with free access limited to the lobby. Beach towels, snorkel gear, even the in-room safe, each with its own daily charge, stacked on top of the rate already paid. Add Mexico's standard 16% value-added tax, roughly 6% in state lodging tax, a mandatory visitor fee near $15 per person, and a separate environmental sanitation charge collected in cash at the front desk, and that $70 rate can grow by 10 to 15% before the trip even starts. There is a darker version of this same pattern too. Authorities in Quintana Roo have flagged as many as 20 fake hotel booking websites appearing every month, cloning real resort names and vanishing the moment payment clears. Book directly through a resort's own site, pay by credit card and keep the receipt. None of this means budget travel here is a lost cause. It means the sticker price was never the real price. There is a second layer to this same story worth knowing before scrolling past a low rate. Several properties in this tier also tack on a mandatory housekeeping gratuity at checkout, a charge some guests only discover after the card is already run, and more than a few list themselves under the Cancun name while sitting a considerable drive from the actual hotel zone shoreline. A quick pin drop on a map before booking solves both problems in under a minute. For a clearly published all-inclusive price without the add-on surprises, Marriott Cancun All-Inclusive is worth a look instead. And the next resort on this list proves that a 2.8-star rating can be just as misleading as a $70 one. Number 9. Solymar Beach Resort calls itself the best economic hotel in Cancun. Recent guests describe something closer to the opposite. Sitting at the quiet southern edge of the hotel zone for around $100 a night, it promises a modest, dependable beachfront stay. The numbers tell a rougher story: 2.8 out of 5 on TripAdvisor and 3.7 on Google, both landing near the bottom of the entire hotel zone. Break those scores apart by category instead of trusting the average, and cleanliness and room condition are consistently the weakest links, repeated across hundreds of stays rather than one bad week. A single complaint is bad luck. Hundreds of the same complaint is a pattern, and that pattern is exactly why this property earns a spot here. The property itself sits close to Playa Chacmul, a public beach popular with locals, which gives the surrounding stretch a slightly different energy than the resort-lined view further north on the Strip. Some longtime visitors specifically call this out as the weakest stay they have had anywhere in the city, a strong claim in a market with dozens of competitors, which is part of why the property draws so much attention despite its modest size. Its distance from the busier northern strip also means longer taxi rides for anyone hoping to reach the nightlife and shopping most travelers picture when they imagine a Cancun trip. If a bed and beach access are genuinely all that matters, this can still work for the right solo traveler on the tightest of budgets. Anyone who needs dependable air conditioning and consistent housekeeping, particularly older travelers, should read this month's reviews before booking, not last year's. For the same beachfront value without the maintenance complaints, AVA Resort Cancun brings a newer property and a massive saltwater lagoon that sidesteps the seaweed problem almost entirely. Do not relax yet, because the next stop proves that even a resort built for energy and nightlife has a blind spot nobody warns you about. Number 8, Flamingo Cancun has the best address on this list and one of the weakest report cards to match it. Planted in the middle of the hotel zone, steps from the beach, and one of the busiest malls in the city, it looks unbeatable on a map, which is exactly why so many travelers book it without reading past the location pin. Underneath that convenience sits a 5.6 out of 10 on Expedia and a 6.3 out of 10 on Booking.com, both trailing well behind the hotel zone average. The same complaints surface again and again. Dated rooms, a food selection that repeats itself night after night, long waits at every restaurant, and hot tubs that barely qualify as warm. Nothing here is dangerous. It is just quietly disappointing, the kind of letdown that wears a vacation down instead of ruining it outright. Recurring reviews describe staff who seem stretched thin rather than simply unfriendly, a distinction worth noting since it points to a staffing or management issue more than a hospitality one. The food, several guests note, is not inedible, just repetitive enough that a full week starts to blur into the same 3 or 4 dishes on rotation, and waiting 45 minutes for a table at the main buffet is not an isolated evening either. It shows up often enough in recent reviews to count as the norm rather than the exception. Proximity to La Isla Mall does give guests an easy escape hatch, and several recent reviewers admit that spending afternoons off-property is what actually saved their trip. This works best for travelers who plan to live outside the resort more than inside it. Anyone chasing a lively social scene or expecting hotel dining to carry the week should look elsewhere, since the mood here reads as dated rather than energetic. If central location is non-negotiable, the Westin Resort and Spa Cancun sits nearby with far steadier reviews. If what you actually want is the opposite of crowded and average, the next stop on this list finally delivers it. Number 7. A safe pick exhale. This is where the countdown finally rewards you. Nizuk Resort and Spa sits alone on its own private point at the southern tip of the hotel zone, wrapped in a nature reserve once reserved for world leaders looking to disappear for a while. Nearly 30 acres of protected coastline hold 2 separate private beaches, one for families and one for adults only, backing directly onto the Mesoamerican Reef for some of the best snorkeling anywhere near the city. More than 2/3 of the rooms are built with families in mind, and the Kids Club welcomes children starting at age 4, a detail most resorts at this level quietly skip. Inside, the architecture leans into clean lines and warm stone, a deliberate nod to the Mayan heritage of the peninsula rather than the generic beach resort look found elsewhere on this list. 6 on-site restaurants cover everything from Mexican and Peruvian to Mediterranean cuisine, and a dedicated hydrotherapy circuit inside the spa gives the wellness experience real depth rather than a single treatment room bolted onto a gym. The spa alone spans 30,000 square feet, which explains why guests describe their stay here as restorative rather than simply relaxing. Couples marking an anniversary, retirees craving genuine quiet, and families with room in the budget for a la carte dining will all find exactly what the brochure promised. One honest caveat: this is not a full all-inclusive property. Food and drinks are typically billed separately and add up quickly, so plan for that before arrival rather than after. Anyone hoping for a loud, social, party-paced week should look elsewhere on this list. For everyone else, Nizuc is proof that in Cancun, the photo and the reality can still match. Not every resort earns that kind of trust, and the next stop shows exactly what happens when an overall score hides the details that actually matter. Number 6. 3.7 out of 5 sounds perfectly fine until you see what that number is hiding. This is the resort teased at the start, flawless in every photo, until the category scores tell a different story. Oasis Palm Cancun trades on beach access and a lively evening scene, and its overall TripAdvisor rating looks respectable at a glance. Split that score into categories instead, and room quality falls to 2.5 out of 5, cleanliness to 2.9. Guests who have stayed across multiple all-inclusive resorts throughout the wider Caribbean single this property out as one of the roughest experiences they have had, citing maintenance issues and pools that look far from properly kept. One frequent Caribbean traveler, reviewing the property after stays at roughly 10 other all-inclusive resorts across the region, singled this one out as the weakest of the group, citing pool maintenance and room upkeep specifically rather than the food or entertainment, which several guests actually praised. Ownership has acknowledged renovation plans for select buildings, though recent reviews suggest guests should confirm which specific tower or section any current booking actually falls into. This is the entire danger of trusting a single-star rating. An average can look fine, while the categories that actually shape a week are quietly failing underneath it. Travelers focused on nightlife and social energy, who care less about room polish than the party downstairs, may still get exactly what they came for. Anyone who needs dependable air conditioning or a genuinely clean room, especially older guests and families with small children, should treat recent, category-specific reviews as required reading before booking. For the same beach energy without the maintenance complaints, Sunscape Cancun by Hyatt holds an 8.8 out of 10 average across more than 6,000 recent reviews. A familiar hotel brand sits at number 5, and its name alone might be giving you more confidence than it deserves. Number 5. A familiar name is not the same thing as a guarantee, and Dreams Riviera Cancun Resort and Spa proves exactly that. Set in Puerto Morelos, between downtown Cancun and the Riviera Maya corridor, it carries the weight of a large, well-known hospitality group, the kind of brand recognition that convinces travelers to book without digging any deeper. The hospitality group behind this brand operates dozens of properties across Mexico and the wider Caribbean under several different resort names, which is precisely why a single rough experience here does not necessarily predict what happens at a sister property 2 hours away. Judge the building, not the umbrella brand above it. Location plays a role too. Puerto Morelos offers a quieter, more residential feel than the hotel zone proper, which some travelers love and others find disappointing if they expected big resort energy. Independent review trackers following complaints across the region have flagged this specific property for a gap between that reputation and the experience in certain room categories, particularly slow maintenance response and an inconsistent main buffet. This does not mean every guest leaves unhappy. It means the logo on the building is not a promise, and quality can swing sharply between properties even inside the same hospitality group. Guests already loyal to this brand, especially families who value the kids' programming more than dining variety, will likely still enjoy their stay. Anyone who values predictability, particularly older travelers and people traveling solo, should search reviews from the last few months specifically, since the complaints that matter tend to cluster recently rather than sit buried in older ratings. For a steadier family option in the same tier, Hyatt Ziva Cancun is currently earning far more consistent praise, and the next resort proves a big name can absolutely deliver when the property actually backs it up. Number 4. A safe pick here is a big brand that actually earns the trust it borrows from its own name. Hyatt Ziva Cancun sits inside the hotel zone and has built its identity around family travel, with layered pools, dedicated kids areas, and a layout designed so nobody in the group ever has to leave the property bored. Travel publications updating their family recommendations this year keep placing this resort near the top of the list, and the phrase that shows up again and again is low friction, fewer surprises, fewer unexpected fees. a level of consistency several earlier entries on this list simply never managed. Swim-up suites, a dedicated teen lounge, and a kids club split by age group all point to a property built specifically around the logistics of a family trip rather than retrofitted for one. Several recent reviews single out the buffet variety as a pleasant surprise for a resort this size, a detail that rarely gets praised elsewhere on this list. Multi-generational groups in particular praise the range of room configurations, which make it easy to keep grandparents, parents, and kids comfortably under one roof without anyone compromising on their version of a relaxing week. The only real trade-off: peak season brings noise and crowds to the main pool area, so anyone chasing a quiet, adults-only mood should request a room farther from the center when booking. Everyone else gets exactly what the name promises. That kind of trust is rare in this city, and the next resort on our list sells a very specific image that recent guests say does not survive first contact with the balcony door. Number 3. Every promotional photo for Royalton Riviera Cancun sells the same thing: an ocean breeze on a private balcony. The resort prices itself competitively against nearby luxury properties while promising a full all-inclusive package and that same postcard view. Recent guests keep describing a very different reality: a persistent, unpleasant odor-affecting balcony areas in certain rooms, strong enough that the outdoor space guests paid extra for becomes unusable. One recent guest described stepping onto their balcony and immediately retreating back inside, unable to enjoy a space they had specifically paid to upgrade into. This is not one unlucky traveler venting once. It shows up often enough across recent stays to count as a genuine pattern rather than bad luck, and ventilation design in specific room categories appears to be the common thread. Guests who have stayed in recently renovated sections of the same resort report a noticeably better experience, which suggests the problem may sit with specific buildings rather than the entire property. Anyone planning to spend most of the trip at the pool or the beach may never even notice the issue. Everyone else, especially couples and older travelers specifically booking for that balcony view, should search recent reviews for the words odor and ventilation before choosing a room category. If the ocean breeze is the entire reason for considering this resort, confirm that promise against this week's reviews, not last year's. Grand Fiesta Americana Coral Beach Cancun offers a similar balcony experience with far steadier recent ratings. What comes next is the most talked about resort in this entire city, and its reviews could not be more divided. Number 2. This resort does not have one reputation, it has two. And which one shows up depends entirely on the wristband around your wrist. Grand Oasis Cancun holds the only casino inside the hotel zone and has built its name on concerts, themed nights, and a nightlife scene almost nobody in this city can match. Walking in, guests expect non-stop energy, and for plenty of them, that is exactly what they get. What makes this entry different from everything else on the list is that the reviews are not simply bad, they are split down the middle. Some guests leave 5-star praise for the entertainment and service. Others describe an entirely different resort, pointing to food quality and cleanliness issues concentrated in the lower-priced room tiers. The property sells several access levels within the same building, distinguished by wristband color, and many guests do not discover the difference until they are already checked in. The property's most recognizable building, a stepped pyramid structure that has become something of a landmark along the boulevard, houses its highest-tier rooms and comes with noticeably better reviews than the standard sections nearby. Live concerts, themed parties, and a nightclub built into the resort itself keep the energy running well past midnight, which is either the entire appeal or the entire problem, depending on what kind of trip was actually booked. Sunset hours bring the loudest crowds to the main pool deck, so guests hoping for a calmer afternoon should plan pool time earlier in the day regardless of which tier they booked. The resort's sheer size, spread across a wide stretch of the hotel zone with more than a dozen restaurants, only widens the gap between two guests staying the exact same week and describing two completely different trips. Travelers chasing nightlife who are willing to book the top tier tend to report the strongest experiences by a wide margin. Anyone booking the lowest available tier, particularly solo travelers and guests hoping for a calmer trip, should expect the complaints that keep showing up in recent reviews. Confirm the exact tier and wristband included in your rate before booking, not just the resort's name. After 9 warnings, it is finally time for the one resort in this entire region that never needed a countdown to prove itself. Number 1. The strongest safe pick. Some resorts spend years trying to close the gap between their photos and their reality. Excellence Playa Mujeres never had one to close. Set north of the main hotel zone along the quieter Playa Mujeres strip, this adults-only property has spent nearly a decade sitting at the top of nearly every serious ranking of the region, and recent guest reviews still back that reputation without hesitation. 9 specialty restaurants operate on site, and unlike several entries earlier on this list, not one of them draws a consistent complaint. Guests describe the entire lineup as reliably excellent rather than hit or miss. A rooftop infinity pool overlooks the coastline, swim-up suites open directly onto meandering pool paths, and a beachfront restaurant built around fresh lobster has earned a reputation as one of the better included dining experiences anywhere in the region, not just within this resort. Consistency across 9 kitchens is genuinely rare, and it is the detail recent guests mention most often when asked what actually justifies the price. Geography does something here that no amount of marketing can fake. Isla Mujeres sits directly offshore, physically blocking much of the seaweed drift forecast to hit the wider Caribbean coastline hard this season, which means calmer water, a cleaner beach, and none of the seasonal buildup quietly wrecking so many hotel zone vacations during peak months. Even the pool areas draw praise in recent reviews for staying clean and properly staffed from morning through evening, a small detail that stands in sharp contrast to nearly everything earlier on this list. Couples, honeymooners, and retirees looking for reliability without noise will find precisely what they came for. Children are not permitted here, and the location sits roughly 30 to 40 minutes from downtown Cancun by taxi, so anyone hoping to wander into the city at night should plan and budget for that distance. Booking during shoulder season months typically brings lower rates and thinner crowds without sacrificing any of the qualities that earned this resort its reputation in the first place. For everyone else, this is the one resort on the entire list where the advertising and the actual experience line up almost perfectly, and it is exactly the note this countdown should end on. So that is the full countdown, from resorts quietly draining a budget through fees nobody mentions up front, to the 3 properties that earn every bit of their reputation. Notice the thread running through almost every warning here. It is rarely about danger. It is about the gap between an old, carefully staged photo and whatever is actually happening inside that resort this month. Notice something else too. The 3 resorts that made the safe list were not simply lucky. They succeeded at the exact things where the other 7 quietly failed: clear pricing, reliable maintenance, and a level of detail that shows up in daily housekeeping rather than a glossy homepage. That gap is the entire story of Cancun in this moment, a destination still capable of delivering paradise, just no longer willing to hand it over automatically. None of the warnings in this countdown happened by accident either. Every resort we told you to avoid earned that warning through the same specific complaints repeating trip after trip in this year's reviews. Not one unlucky week from one unlucky guest. The fix takes about 5 extra minutes before booking anything. Sort reviews by newest, not by relevance. Check category-specific scores for cleanliness and room condition instead of trusting one overall number. And assume the final bill will land 10 to 15% above the headline price once taxes and mandatory fees are added in. If this video just saved a future trip, hit like and subscribe, because a new destination gets this exact treatment every single week. Tell us in the comments which resort on this list matches something you have lived through, and which destination deserves the next investigation. Stay smart, book smarter, and we will see you in the next one.